All right, guys. Our next guest is a show regular and one of our favorite people to chat to. He's a former UFC heavyweight champion, a multiple-time king of pancrates, a Hollywood star, UFC Hall of Famer, and the inventor of the O2 trainer. Now, he's the star of his own show, The Bas Rutten Experiment. He is none other than El Guapo himself, Bas Rutten. Bas, welcome back to Submission Radio. How's things with you?
Doing great. Yeah, we just went to Mammoth. We came back yesterday, and unbelievable. And, check this out. We're in California. You can literally jump in the ocean right now, and if you drive 5 hours, you have like 24 different lifts and ski tracks in the mountains. It's insane. I mean, you can do two water sports, water ski, and you can ski on the snow, same time.
Wow. I mean, what a world we live in. And I mean, that's a great thing about living over there where you are. One of the things we noticed is, was it your wife's birthday over the weekend as well?
Yes, it was her 50th, and she was thinking about take a party first, but then she realized, you know what? Maybe it's more fun if we go with the family. We go ski a few days. And so that's what we did.
Now, was this water skiing or was this snow skiing? What do you prefer, Bas?
Snow ski. I prefer water ski. I like wakeboarding, but snow skiing, I didn't do it. You know, I got in August. We're going to do the second season from Kevin Can Wait. And last time I was skiing 14 years ago, I broke my ribs. I broke everything. So this time I'm going to stay in. I'm going to do my work there and let the kids and my wife ski and snowboard, and then I'll take it easy.
Wow, I don't want to bring up traumatic experiences, but can you tell us what happened? How did you manage to get all these ribs broken? What happened to you there?
Well, I used to trick ski a lot, which is behind a boat or a cable ski, whatever you prefer, and it's a board with no fin under it, so you can make circles, you can left and right, you can jump on ramps, you know, even if you fall in the water, if you just keep holding on to the stick, so to say, and your ski is still on your right foot, you can put the foot, they call it the tumble turn, you can put the foot back on the water, and then you pop out of the water again. So once I went to snow skiing, I said, you know what, I'm going to try snowboarding. And this guy recognized me. He says, "Oh, I'm going to give you this great board, Bas. It's a pro board." I said, "I don't know. I'm not a pro." You know, so anyway, he gives me the board. I jump on it. The lift was a little bit difficult to get off because it's a really weird foot setting for your snowboard. But once I put my back foot in there and I started skiing, I go like snowboarding. I go, man, this is easy. It's the same as trick skiing. So I go left, right. And of course, in my mind, I go, this is easy. So let's go fast. And then at that moment, my wife comes by on skis, and she's pretty fast. And I figured, you know, I'm going to slap her on her butt. I'm going to make her, I'm going to freak her out. So I'm starting to follow her on my snowboard, which is something they say you should not do, go for speed. You should make turns the whole time. Yeah. So I'm faster. And just before I wanted to hit her, apparently there was a ramp, and I hit the thing, and I flew through the air. And then I made a complete somersault, and I landed on my chest, and in my front pocket, I had a CB radio with me. So I landed on that. That snapped all my ribs. My knees were twisted. It was insane. You know, you had the ambulance coming, you know, the snow people with the little car to get you out of there. And I'm laying on the ground, and there's no way I can speak, right? My ribs are broken. So I'm like, I'm breathing like that. And the guy's asking my name, and I'm just looking at him, and I put my finger up like I can't speak, you know. And he says, no, I need to know your name. I go, and I'm breathing. I said, so I put my finger up. He says, sir, I need to know your name. So I look at him, and I wave to him that he has to come closer. And he comes closer, and I grab him by the throat. And I'm pointing at my ribs, and he goes, oh, you can't speak. I go, So that was my experience. And then it became funny because now I was hanging out in the bar the whole time, of course, with everybody. So my wife, when she came skiing down with her friends, I had the whole bar upside down. Everybody was singing songs, you know. I started singing with everybody. She goes, oh, my God, I guarantee you that's Bas doing this. And when they arrived, yeah, it was me. I took the blame.
And, of course, all these years later and with a special birthday celebration, did you try and slap her ass again on the slopes, or was this out of the books?
No, I didn't do that. You know, I just did that while we were walking. I thought it's a safer thing to do.
Yeah, that's a much safer idea. Now, Bas, you've got your new show out at the moment called The Bas Rutten Experiment, and it's available on YouTube, and it's presented by Champions. We've been watching a lot of episodes, and it's really funny stuff. How are you enjoying filming these sketches so far?
Oh, I love it. You know, every time when I can make fun or do fun things, you know, when they came to me to give me the proposal, I go, dude, that's me. I love to do that stuff. Yeah, sign me up. You know, when do you want to start? So that's how we got it, and I would love to do more. It's I enjoy doing it.
To me, it's a little bit different. Like, I really like what Champions are doing. It's almost becoming like a Saturday Night Live sort of thing of MMA stars doing different videos. I mean, the first 3 episodes have been really hilarious. What's the plan with these, though, Bas? How many episodes are you hoping to make? Is it sort of a case-by-case basis, or have you guys lined out a certain, almost like a little season that you'll be doing?
You know, right now it's stopped. What they're doing right now, they cut them all up and they make them in single clips. That's what they're doing right now, and that's getting a whole bunch of views again. So I think, you know, that in probably a couple of months, I think there will be some new writing, and then hopefully we can start again.
Very nice, very nice. And also, last time you told us some funny audition and script stories. I think it was 2 interviews ago. There was the classic one where somebody sent you a script where you were in prison and you were supposed to use a dildo to break out somehow. I remember we all had a good laugh about that one. Other than that masterpiece, Bas, do you have any other acting projects coming up that you can tell us about? Have you been doing any auditions or anything like that?
You know, there is a chance. I just saw the email because I just came back. It's in England. It's an MMA movie, but it's a good movie, and it's not an ending like you would expect in a mixed martial arts movie. Because that I went right away till the end. I go, oh, I need to know what the end is, because if it's again, oh, and I was the world champion, oh, whatever, man. You know, it's all the same thing. But this was a complete different thing, and it's written by a guy who's a great director, who's doing really well at these film festivals. So I might do it because it's a good part. I'm the coach of the lead actor, and he's got some pretty good names already attached to it. So I might jump over to England in October, I believe, to see if I can do it.
Wow, imagine that. You know, a great role for you would be like if Guy Ritchie ever did like a Snatch or a Lock Stock. You're ever in England shooting like an MMA type movie. If you threw a part in like a sequel to that, because I feel like there's a character there to be made for you, Bas, that will live in the pop cultures for ages. But anyway, let's move on to the fighting, because there was a busy weekend of fights, UFC 211. A lot of interesting things happened. So while you were sloping, we hope you heard about some of the stuff that went on. And one of the first things we want to bring up with you is Joanna Jedrzejczyk's dominant win over Jessica Andrade. I don't know if you got a chance to watch this fight or not, Bas, but I mean, if you did get a chance to see some of it or see what happened afterwards, what was your thought of how Joanna looked in this one?
She's complete domination. You know, she's just a very. I mean, against Andrade, I thought she was gonna get a few rounds at least. You know, she's a powerful puncher. Yes, she's not as technical as Jedrzejczyk is, but you know, man, she can hit if she connects. You know, and if she wants to make it a dog fight, I thought, you know, it's going to be a tough fight for Jedrzejczyk. But I think, you know, her teaming up with American Top Team has been a very smart thing to do, and she just cruised through it. I mean, it was a blowout, right? Every single round she got.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought it was going to be a much closer fight. I predicted 47-48 to Joanna, and it was such domination. And she's about to break Ronda Rousey's record for the most title defenses by a woman in the UFC. She's evened it, and in her next fight she'll break it. But as far as skill sets go, obviously between her and Ronda and being well rounded, you know, it's night and day. Do you think she's already surpassed Ronda as the most dominant woman in the history of the UFC?
Oh, I don't know. I think she's. What Ronda did was something, it was completely new. And that's why it's so fresh in us. You know, it was so dominant. And, you know, every time winning with the same thing, an armbar, and everybody knows she's going to armbar you, and yet they're not able to stop it. So that was a very powerful statement. But Jedrzejczyk is just, you know, she's an animal. I completely love her, everything about her, the way she fights, presents herself. You know, she will break that record. I think it's going to be very hard for the UFC to find somebody who can actually beat her.
And I mean, striking-wise, her technique is just beautiful to watch. I mean, you're known for your amazing striking yourself. When you're watching that, was it almost just like a delight to your eyes, being able to see the footwork that she was using, the angles that she was cutting, the combinations she was putting together?
You know, she's just amazes me every single time. You know, if your base striking comes from Ernesto Hoost, you know, well, we're talking about one of the best strikers on the planet ever. from Holland, and she trained with him a lot. And then she went to Holland, where she was training, and she fought all the Dutch girls and beat all the Dutch girls. So I knew she was a really great striker, because we have a whole bunch of great strikers in Holland. So I was not surprised, especially because she started with Ernesto Hoost.
And while we're on the subject of surprises, what did you think of Stipe's win over Junior Dos Santos? I mean, we read your pre-fight breakdown on champions.co. Were you surprised by how quickly Stipe put Junior away?
No, yeah, I was surprised. I would have thought it would be like around the third round, but that was my prediction. I thought he was going to knock Junior Dos Santos out in the third round, and like Mauro on our podcast said, he thought Junior was going to knock him out in the third round. So to do it in the first, well, it's even better. The thing with him is he got in his whole groove. He got into the champion, being the champion. He's the guy now who actually defends the belt as a heavyweight, which didn't happen a lot before. You know, and I think because he looks at fighting so simple. You know, he's a blue collar guy. He doesn't overthink things. He just fights, and he's really good at it. And I think a guy like that, who's not faced by anybody, not by Overeem, when he got dropped and then he got put in the guillotine, and you know, coming out of that and then stopping Overeem again. I mean, you know, the guy knows that he can take a punch. He knows that he can come back. Those are all great qualities to have. And on top of that, he's a great boxer. I mean, he's a great athlete in general. This guy can do anything. And then, you know, who doesn't like a guy like that? Who's also a fireman on the side. I mean, it's almost a movie. You know, you pick out a guy, blue collar guy. Everybody loves the guy. And the way he talks, you know, and you think you're the best. You say, well, I'm the world champion, Joe. Of course I'm the best. You know, he keeps it simple. And I think a guy like that's hard to beat.
Too good to be real. I mean, if you saw it in a movie, you'd be like, this has to be fiction. A firefighter and a champion, come on. But, I mean, it's real life. And his last 4 fights have been first-round KOs against guys like Arlovsky, Verdum, Overeem, and now Junior. Before that, he beat Mark Hunt, obviously, here in Australia. Now people are putting him in the discussion for possibly being one of, if not the greatest heavyweight of all time. I mean, we kind of have these discussions quite frequently, Bas. It's a thing that people enjoy doing in the MMA community. But where do you stand on that in terms of Stipe possibly being one of the greatest ever or being the greatest ever?
Well, he's going to have to fight a few more fights first now, of course. But yeah, he's doing unbelievable. I mean, he's dropping everybody. If you just the names that you threw out there, I mean, Overeem and dropping all these guys, that's a pretty impressive thing, you know. But I would like to see him again against Stefan Struve now, you know. And I know Stefan Struve is maybe, I don't know if he's in the top 10. He should be, right? I would think so. I don't know. But that would be a good fight, because that's another black page, the only black page that he has left. So if he would stop Struve, then the 2 losses that he had on his record, well, he just avenged them.
I definitely feel like that's a fight that he'd want to do at some point. I know Cain Velasquez is sort of sidelined at the moment. Some people are expecting. I think Dana White said that he might be coming back around the fall. Some people are also talking about Francis Ngannou. Would you sort of lock in Struve as the definite next fight, or what do you think about potentially Cain Velasquez or even a guy like Francis Ngannou?
Oh, no, I would love to have Cain Velasquez, of course. He never fought a guy like Cain. Cain is a complete different animal in the heavyweight division. This is a guy who will be on you, and he won't let you off. You know, he's constantly fighting, constantly clinching, constantly looking for a takedown. The whole time he's working, I mean, he's tiring you out. He's all over the place. Takedowns, hits, kicks, you know, constantly that pushing. Can Miocic keep that... does he have that kind of stamina? That's the biggest question if you fight a guy like Cain Velasquez. But then again, you know, his footwork looks really good right now. Maybe he just can avoid Velasquez coming forward by moving to the side. Although I personally think it's a very hard thing to do, because he comes storming in. He comes flying in with big punches, and boom, there's a clinch. And from that moment, it's a dogfight.
I'm curious, where are you at with Derek Lewis? I mean, he's fighting Mark Hunt here in New Zealand. A lot of people thinking if he wins against Mark Hunt, he'll be up there as well. He's obviously evolved quite a bit in his last few fights. Do you think he gets past Mark Hunt and is a force in this division? Or are you not yet sold sort of on how good he could be in the division?
Well, I think from his last 6 or 7 fights, whatever he had, I think it was only one decision, I think, right? Everybody else he stopped. You know, I was also impressed with him when he fought Shamil because it was the 4th round. And I know it was not a pretty fight, and he said that himself after the fight, and then he came back, knocked out Travis Brown like that. So I figured, yeah, he had an off day. But for a guy that size to still stop somebody in the fourth round, that's really good. How you say that? Thing to have under your belt. If you know that you're that weight, and you can go 4 or 5 rounds. That's pretty incredible. So he only needs to connect, but it's a speed advantage. It's all about speed. And I think when you fight a guy like Stipe, who's in and out the whole time, because of his great boxing skills, he's got great footwork, it's going to be hard to hit. But on the other side, of course, Lewis has the one-punch knockout. And it's a different kind of punch than any other heavyweight because this guy weighs a lot and has got natural punching power. So once you're 264 pounds, he's probably 270 to 75 on the day of the fight again because he's then all fluid up again, back and fluid up.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a hard guy to fight. But the only way you can fight him is to attack the body the whole time, which Stipe loves to do, and in and out movement, and get this guy tired. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, for sure. Strong points. And he's actually another guy who did a really, really funny skit on champions.co. Something
Yeah,
Bas,
I saw that.
I love the end where he's all like, get rid of that Ronda Rousey wig or something. That was good. That was so good. Now, Bas, something that we'll be talking about a little bit later on the show is obviously this whole ridiculous situation with the GSP Bisping fight being delayed and until possibly November. Now, looks like the fight isn't even happening anymore, allegedly, and then Yoel Romero might be getting the title shot instead, which is kind of what everybody thought was going to happen after 205 anyway. What did you make of this whole situation?
Well, my question, okay, I'm very happy for Yoel Romero because he deserves it. But, let's play devil's advocate right now. What if Romero wins? Is GSP going to fight Romero? That's what I would like to know. Because GSP against Bisping, I can understand his technique here. He's going to take him down, and he's going to pepper him with elbows and punches, and that's how he's going to win that fight. We know his style, but against the guy who went to the Olympics, a great wrestler, that will be a really great fight, actually. So I would love to see that fight.
Do you think GSP would want to take that fight, though?
You know what? That's what I'm saying. It's a hard fight after coming back after so many years, and to face a guy like Romero. It's a hard fight to pick for him. So I don't know. I don't know if he would take. If he does, I'll be stoked because I would love to see what happens.
I mean, I think it'd be respectable if GSP did. I mean, obviously you wouldn't take anything away from him if he didn't. It is a guy in the weight class above. But if he did, I think that would take some pretty big balls. And even though a lot of the middleweights would be pissed off, you'd have guys like Rockhold and, Whitaker saying, hey, we're here. But let's say this doesn't happen. Let's say the UFC say, all right, this whole GSP thing at middleweight, failed experiment. Let's say, it never happens. Who would you like to see him fight instead? Are you sort of keen on Anderson Silva, maybe a Nick Diaz rematch? Or is there a part of you that would maybe like to see him cut the line at welterweight and fight Tyron Woodley? And, unfortunately, Damian Maia would be out in the cold again.
Yeah, poor Damian, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's an athlete, man. Insane. That was an unbelievable fight again. I don't know, man. I really don't know what the best fight will be. I think Silva and him, because a few years ago, everybody wanted to see it. Maybe it's one of those things. It's still in the mind of people, in the minds. Maybe they should do it, and then take it from there. I think that will be a good fight for him. You two guys who are ruling the UFC simultaneously, and then now they compete finally, maybe in a catch weight. So then both guys are going to be happy with it, whatever weight it's going to be. That would be great. I think the Silva fight would make sense to me.
Yeah, that would be an interesting one as well. We thought of you recently because for a long time when you've been on the show, you've obviously been a World Series of Fighting guy. You've done a lot of commentating for them. And we always asked you about Justin Gaethje and how you'll see him doing in the UFC and if he'll ever go there. And I guess that's always been the big question that we've trying to answer for quite some time. Well, of course, now he's made the move and he's going to face Michael Johnson on July 7th at the TUF finale. So how do you feel about now that he's left and now that he's in the UFC? What do you think about that fight?
Well, it's a real tough fight for him. I mean, if you go back against Melvin Gillard, Melvin, he's an explosive fighter, but he was not in the top 10 anymore in the UFC, and he had a hard time against him. And I love everything about Justin Gaethje. The only thing that I don't like is that he takes way too many shots. He shouldn't take those shots because against really great strikers, like Johnson, that Michael Johnson, that could be of course a problem. So, and what he also does is every single punch, he overcommits to every single punch. So if he misses a punch, he's wide open. That again, against an experienced fighter, could be trouble. On the other side, we love him because, well, if there's a fight with Justin Gaethje, it's a fight. You will never. I don't believe he never had a boring fight. So that's the great thing. But for him, for the longevity, I would say make it a little tighter. You hit already so hard. You don't need to load up. He's got that natural power, but in his mind, he just wants to destroy the opponents, which is great for the audience. But technically, it's a little bit dangerous. You're taking chances. Why would you take chances? Be a little bit more compact. And what about a Justin Gaethje, who is a great wrestler, who suddenly shoots in, takes his opponent down, and then rains down those big punches that he has. I mean, if he can do it on the feet, he's got great power on the ground as well. Take the opponent down and just beat him up there. The good thing that you create with that is now the whole UFC, all the other fighters see, oh, wait a minute. Oh, we forgot. He might also take us down. It's a good way to get in the head of the future opponents. So that's what I would tell him to do. See if he can take Michael Johnson to the ground, because nobody's going to expect it. They're all going to think it's going to be a brawl, and then suddenly take him down and go for ground and pound. See if you can stop him.
Yeah, it's interesting. He mentioned that he's a D1 wrestler in the press conference. He said that to Michael Johnson. So I don't know. You might be onto something, Bas. You might have figured out his game plan already. And I love when this happens, when you get guys, like a Overeem or Gil Melendez or Eddie Alvarez or Hector Lombard. They come in from these other organizations. We see how they do in the UFC. And while we're sort of speaking about the World Series of Fighting, they've completely changed their format, Bas, and obviously now they're called the Professional Fighters League. The relaunch is set for January of 2018. Just curious, what do you think about the change? And also, are you still going to be with the company in the meantime and sort of in 2018 as well?
Yes, I'm going to be there. I heard in last December, I heard all the plans, but we were not allowed to say anything to anybody. But I think the whole, what they come up with now, winning $1 million at the end of next year for a fighter who goes through the whole year the best in every single weight class. Whoa, I wonder what Gaethje and what is I forgot David Branch were thinking now. As soon as they left, suddenly they hear the next year they could win $1 million if they would have won. So that's a lot of money for a fighter.
And I mean, this is kind of revolutionary, this concept, and the way that it's been put together. Do you think if it goes well and people see that this works, this could be the beginning of something new and fresh in MMA, where other companies may look to sort of use some of those ideologies, and possibly this may be better for fighters in the future?
Yeah, I truly believe so. We need something different. Everything is the same all the time, to break the mold and to do something different. I tell you, it's like the International Fight League. Remember at the time? I mean, they were doing great. It got so big, and that was the problem. It got too big, too fast, and suddenly they start making these crazy, they start making mistakes. Let's get a big office. Let's get, they start spending money because they grew so fast after they had that special. I believe it was 20 minutes. It's a program here, a documentary style program here, where Renzo Gracie and the IFL was highlighted. And I mean, the next day it was a public company. I think the stocks went from 85 cents to $12 in one day. So, I mean, and I, because I was one of the 3 coaches from there that they really wanted, I had 380,000 shares. Oh. So I was like, whoa, $4 million, this is really great. But then, unfortunately, everything went too fast. I think they should have stayed with the same concept. Why need a bigger office? You're doing great. You're now, all the success that you have has been done with this office. Why would you change the office? Why would you hire more people? You don't need it. Just stay and do the same thing. But yeah, they didn't, and it all fell apart, unfortunately.
Wow, $4 million. Well, you're doing well now, Bas, so that's the main thing. And now, obviously, we're happy to see that your podcast, Rutten and Ronaldo, is back. Anything else that you've got around the corner? Anything cooking on the stove that we and the fans can look forward to and look out for?
Yes, in August, the second season of Kevin Can Wait, the Kevin James sitcom, is going to start, and I already had noticed that I'm going to be in it. So I'm going to be Rutger, my character, is going to be back And we're going to see him a whole bunch of times next season. I'm so stoked for that, especially after Inside MMA stopped.
Yeah.
You start thinking like, whoa, hey, wait a minute. What do I do next? And then, I did one episode and they all loved it. And they say, hey, we want you back. And then I did 3 more and now the season stopped. And they said, no, don't worry about it. We want you back next year. And you're going to be making a whole bunch of shows. So I'm super stoked. I'm so happy you have no idea, because it's a scary moment for a little bit. I've invested a lot of money in the O2 trainer, which is going really well as well. So everything is going well. I'm an extremely happy person right now.
Wow, yeah, and that's kind of Netflix as well. It's kind of changed the game when it comes to watching shows and movies. So it's great to see they're such a big part of that. Great show, and fans need to go and look out for that. Just quickly, Bas, before we wrap up, I mean, Casper just mentioned the podcast. Your co-host is obviously the very, very talented Mauro Ranallo, and he's very beloved by the MMA community. There's been a little bit of speculation on why he hasn't been in the WWE recently, and we understand you can't really say much. But for the MMA fans that may be a little bit concerned about him, is he doing okay? Is everything all right? Can you sort of give us an update on that?
Yeah, he's doing great. It took a little bit, but he's completely back. We already shot 2 podcasts again. This week we couldn't because I was in Mammoth. We wanted to change our podcast to recording on Mondays now, so we can release it on Tuesday. I think it's a better time than releasing it on Friday, because before the weekend nobody listens to it. And the shows that we did the Combat Sports Carousel we used to do on Monday. They had way higher numbers than the Rutten and Ranallo show had. So we figured, okay, we're going to stop. So from next week on, it's probably going to be released on a Tuesday. And he's doing awesome, and he's got some crazy. You already saw he was in Japan, right, for Ryzen.
Yeah.
So doing the commentating there, but there's some other things coming up, and some things that people are not gonna expect. So, unfortunately, I can't say anything about it. But no, he's still in the works. He's going to do a lot of work, and there's going to be some big surprises coming very soon.
Great. Well, look, that's what we wanted to know. We appreciate the update. Guys, don't forget to follow Bas on Twitter at Bas Rutten MMA, and also on Facebook, his official Facebook, where he's got a lot of fun technique videos. Obviously, the podcast we just mentioned before, Rutten and Ranallo, with the fresh new release date, the Bas Rutten Experiment, champions.co, and of course, anytime you've heard Bas Rutten on the show, we've always mentioned the O2 trainer, which obviously improves your lung capacity and is good for a lot of things, whether you've got asthma or not. It can improve a lot of things, and that's available at o2trainer.com. And now, you just mentioned Kevin Can Wait. That's dropping in August. So, Bas, for a man who was concerned that you might not have it a lot on the plate, you've actually got a lot of things, and we always appreciate you coming by and chatting with us. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome, guys. I'm always having a blast with you, so it's an easy thing.